right, good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday, July 1st, I believe. Hello, Riley. And today is day number 60 of Riley and my hike on the Appalachian Trail. I did not do a closeout video yesterday. I was planning to, but just busy with nightly chores and very tired, and it was dark, so I'll just do an update now. So we're in a place called Rock Spring campsite, I believe. It's a big campsite, lots of tent sites. There's a spring, which is like a pool of water, pool of fresh, clean, ice cold water, short ways down the hill there. Yeah, so this is where we got to last night. I actually camped a little bit down this path here, on a nice flat section, and Riley and I had a much more pleasant night last night than we did the previous night, since we actually got our tent set up. And I met this guy named Big Blue, who I actually met for the first time coming into crossing the James River footbridge, going into the road that goes into Glasgow. And he caught up to us yesterday evening as Riley and I were taking a break with Liam and Midnight from the group of 4 hikers that Riley and I were meeting multiple times the past few days. They were taking a break, but then Big Blue walked in and he was going to continue on. So Riley and I are like, before then, since Liam and Midnight were taking a break there, and they were getting their dinner ready, I wanted to continue on, but like it wasn't really an option for me, because Riley would just want to stay with the other two hikers, and he would just protest hiking on. So, but then once the other hikers are ready, then Riley would gladly hike on. So I was basically stuck there, even though I wanted to hike on. Since the other 2 hikers weren't moving, I was just content to take a break there. But then Big Blue walked in, and he was gonna hike on, so Riley was like, okay, let's go. And so I was glad that Big Blue walked in, and Riley and I were able to get moving again. And at that point, it was actually probably like around 8 o'clock. So it was getting late into the day, and it's good that we were able to start moving again, so that we were able to at least use the rest of the daylight. And we were able to hike 1.9 miles from there to Sealy Woodworth Shelter, and then we hiked another 1.1 miles to this campsite. So, and by the time we got to this campsite, it was fully dark, and we were using our headlamps. So it was cool to see Big Blue again. Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a basketball fan like me, so we have some stuff to talk about besides just our hiking interests. And he gave me a packet of minestrone dehydrated soup mix that he was talking about, that I was able to try this morning, actually. I was gonna eat it last night with him for dinner, because he volunteered to heat up some water so that I could try it. But it turned out that he didn't have enough fuel in his stove to heat up all the water. So he just gave me the mixture, and I was able to cold soak it overnight, and I tried it this morning, and it was delicious, even though the water wasn't hot. Anyway, yeah, so it was good to talk with Big Blue and hike with him for a little bit last night. He got off to an early start this morning. I actually woke up pretty early because I needed to use the bathroom. So I got out of my tent, and it was freezing this morning. Oh, it was so cold, and it's still cold. But yeah, so when we got back to our tent, I was so cold that I'm like, I was like, I don't really want to start getting ready. I just want to get back in my sleeping bag and get some more sleep. So we're getting off to a slow start today. It's late. I'm sure it's late. It's probably like after 10 o'clock, maybe after 11 o'clock. I don't know. But I'm not worried about that. It's nice getting off. It's nice getting off to an early start to make use of the cool weather, but at the same time, it's nice to be lazy sometimes in the morning and take our time and just get rest. And that's what we did today. And we have plenty of time to hike the rest of the day. But I feel better rested having gone back to sleep and tried to stay warm and getting a few hours extra of sleep. I definitely felt better rested when I got up the second time. But then even when I got up the second time, I didn't like immediately get ready. I was very slow and happy to take my time to get ready. And I've been eating a lot. Like my hiker hunger is really kicking in, and I've been eating a lot of the food that I have. So my pack is actually starting to get light. We still have enough food. I'm confident that we would have enough food to get to Waynesboro. Currently we are I think 40.1 miles away from Waynesboro. So that's like a good distance to get there in 3 days. Today's Monday, so I think if we can get there Wednesday, I think that's a good plan. Tuesday would be possible, but very difficult to do, and not something that we need to do. And maybe not even possible to do. But getting there by Wednesday, we would just have to average a little over 13 miles a day, which is totally within Riley and my capabilities. And ideally, we could get there like a little earlier in the day on Wednesday, so that we can get to the Chinese buffet and actually be able to spend several hours there. That would be really nice. Hopefully there's a place where I can keep Riley. If they don't let him inside, hopefully I can sit by a window so I can keep an eye on him. Anyway, but that's a few days away. Got to worry about today first. Yeah, so yesterday we hiked 14.2 miles, and this place, Rock Spring, I believe is around mile 823 on the trail, somewhere around that. And today we have, we're hiking, the next shelter is called the Priest Shelter. It's 0.1 off the trail, and that's a popular shelter just because it's called the Priest. People like to, when they go there and spend the night, people like to, when they sign the logbook, they like to, there's a tradition for hikers to confess their trail sins, like anything they're doing wrong or that they're ashamed of that they're doing. They write it in the logbook as a way to confess their trail sins. Just something I've heard it on YouTube, I guess, actually. It's kind of a famous shelter. So anyway, so that's what's coming up. We're about 5.5 miles from there. And then shortly after that, there's a huge descent. So that descent is basically giving up all the elevation gain that we achieved when we hiked up to Big Bald a couple days ago from US Route 60. And then after that big descent, there's another big climb up a mountain called Three Ridges Mountain. which has, and it's called Three Ridges because there's like 3 false summits, or 2 false summits. So it's like you think you're at the top, or you think you're getting to the top, but it's a false summit, and then there's another big climb, and then the third one is the actual summit. So it's called Three Ridges Mountain, and that is we should be able to get there today, and that's the last big climb that we have before getting to Waynesboro. So after that mountain, then we'll have achieved all of the elevation gain that we're going to getting to Waynesboro, and it'll just be flat to downhill hiking the rest of the way to Waynesboro. So that's just a overview of where we're heading. It's still chilly. It's not freezing like it was this morning, but it's still chilly. So that's why I have my coat on and Riley has his warm coat on. And we're gonna get started with the day, and we'll see how it goes. All right, bye for now. So we're just leaving the campsite, and the whole campsite is in has really good shade to it. And we just got in this grassy area where we're in the sunlight, and Riley is loving it so much. I think he was cold in the campsite because it's cold. I was cold, and I think he likes the soft grass, and I think he likes the feel of the sun. And the sun actually feels really good right now. It's because I was chilly, and the sun is helping to warm me up. And I think Riley feels the same way. All right, let's check in later. All right, bye for now. All right, so we are entering the Priest Wilderness area in George Washington National Forest. Oh, Riley, you just sat down. Come on, man. Come on, Riley. Let's go, buddy. Come on. Riley is not tired. We passed a couple day hikers earlier today who were moving kind of slowly, and Riley has been looking back for them ever since we passed him. It was a challenge just to get Riley to, like, we've put some distance between us and them, and it was a challenge just to get Riley to actually start moving, so he wasn't like just waiting on them until they showed up. But even though there's a good bit of distance, I don't even know if they're still following us at this point, but Riley still remembers that they're back there, so he's somewhat frequently requesting to take a break, but he's not panting. He's just looking back. So that's how our day is going so far. We're about a mile from the Priest shelter, and we've done about 4.5 miles on the day so far. And it's warmed up, but it's not a hot day. There's a nice breeze. I don't have much to say. I mean, just little things. But yeah, the day's going fine so far, so we'll check in later. Riley insisted on coming over here and looking at this cool rock formation. So I acquiesced to his request. Trail is over that way, and we are going that way. That's north. I think we're getting pretty close to the Priest shelter, but when we get there, it's just gonna be a side trail because It's 0.1 off the AT. Come on, buddy. Let's continue on, Riley. I'm not planning to go in to see the shelter. Oh, it's actually, I think it's right up here. I see what looks like a sign there, indicating that there's a shelter nearby. Yep. And AT North is this way, yeah. So, yeah, I'm not going to go into the shelter. It's only 0.1, but we don't need. I mean, the only reason to go in would be to see it because it's a cool shelter and peruse the logbook, read other people's comments. We took a break shortly after we were ascending this mountain, so I don't think we need another break, and we are fine on water. We have enough water. We had about 2.5 liters leaving the campsite. Riley wants a break here, though. You want a break, or you just want to wait on people that you remember. Anyway, so we're making progress. We did get off to a late start today. Shortly after starting, I took my phone out, turned it on, and called my parents. And my eyes did see the time, and it said 12:46 p.m. So that means we left probably about 12 o'clock, maybe even after 12 o'clock from our campsite. That's super late, but it's okay. It's important to get our rest. I think Riley's not walking because I'm not walking. And now he's moving forward. Okay, we'll check in later. Anyway, so we have a little bit of ascent to finish up on this mountain. This mountain is actually called the Priest Mountain, I believe. So we have a little bit, I mean, it's flat right here, but I believe it's going, according to my elevation guide in my AWOL guide, we have a little bit more ascent to go before getting to the summit. And then we have a big, big, big descent. And I believe shortly after that big descent, there's this shelter called Harper's Creek Shelter. And then we have Three Ridges Mountain, which I talked about earlier. So we'll check in later. All right, so we are, I think we are on the summit now of the Priest Mountain. And Riley is just insisting on a break, so this is a good spot for a break. I'm gonna strap him to my pack here, just a second. All right, so Riley is securely secured to my pack. He's not going anywhere. And we can come out and take a look at the view. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice view. Okay. So I will go rejoin Riley over here in the shade. And we will continue our break. And this is a campsite too, so if anyone was able to hike up here by the evening time, there's a little fireplace there, and that would be a beautiful spot for our tent if it was time to camp. But it is not time to camp, so we're just gonna enjoy our break here, and we'll check in later. I feel like I'm just saying we'll check in later like 8 million times, but that's what we'll do. All right, bye for now. All right, so hello, Riley. So Riley and I have moved on from our last break spot, and we are at our next break spot. So we descended part way down the Priest Mountain. It's a long descent. It's like I think it's about like 3 miles. So it's gonna take a little while to get down. And Riley has been asking to take a lot of breaks, so I'm fine with taking some breaks. Definitely when he's tired, I'm fine with taking some breaks, but he doesn't seem tired. I think he's just not motivated sufficiently to hike for an extended period of time today, and that's partly because we've been hiking alone almost the entire day, except for those two day hikers that we passed earlier who were hiking kind of slow. There hasn't been anybody that's been close to us to give Riley motivation to hike. If there was somebody, he would be go go go, for lack of a better term. But yeah, he derives his motivation not from me, but from having somebody other than me to hike with, or having like 2 people to hike with. So we're taking a break here, and I'm just using this opportunity to give him some nourishment. So I got some oatmeal in here and his dry food, which I keep in, I have a bag of dry food in my pack, and then I usually keep a peanut butter jar of dry food on the outside of my pack so that I can access it easier during the day, and I don't have to dig through my pack. And today in my fanny pack in my fanny pack I'm holding this bag where I have a separate bag of oatmeal, and then I also have a bag of raisins for myself as a snack. And I'm just adding some water to it. Hey, Riley. And Riley is curious. He's like, when do I get to eat here? So I think that's enough water. And I'm just going to let this sit for a little bit before giving it to Riley, so that the oats and the kibble can absorb a little bit of the moisture, a little bit of the water. And yeah, I checked the time earlier. I think it's about 5 o'clock now, and I think we've done maybe about 7 miles on the day. And the temperature is pretty comfortable. There's a nice breeze. It doesn't feel hot as we're hiking. I was just feeling Riley's fur there for ticks. He has various like bumps on his body that when I'm feeling them down, sometimes I mistake them for ticks. So I just have to be careful not to try to pull off one of his bumps, which is just part of his body. I was talking with my mom earlier on the phone, and she passed along a comment that somebody had left for me on one of my YouTube videos, and the comment was I'm not sure, I'm just going off what she told me, but I know I'm gonna give you your food very soon, Riley. The comment was somebody saying that I should try to broaden up, or why I know, Riley. Okay, hold up, let me, Riley, back up. Hey, Riley, back up. Back up. Yeah, so the comment was that I should try to widen the scope of my videos, and then I guess I'm doing too much of just like talking to the camera while I'm hiking, and I'm not like showing enough interactions with other hikers and other things like that. I think that's the gist of what the comment was. I haven't seen it for myself, but I just want to address it. So, assuming I got the gist of it correct, first of all, whoever left it, thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate feedback from people who are enjoying the videos, or people who have suggestions. I definitely appreciate it. But with regard to the specific substance of the comment, in terms of including more interactions with other hikers, that's something that like I'm not opposed to. But it doesn't come naturally to me. It's not something that's easy for me to do. And I'm partly resistant to doing that because I prefer for my interactions with other hikers to be just normal hiker interactions. And I don't like other people to feel self-conscious if I'm capturing something on camera. And I feel like once I turn the camera on, any conversation that I have with another hiker would turn into like almost an act instead of like a natural conversation. So I guess for two reasons. I don't want it to be the case that other hikers feel uncomfortable. But I don't feel like the conversation, at least with me, like I don't feel like the conversations that I would be able to capture would be very authentic. Because I would be self-conscious of the camera going, and I would think the other people that I'm talking with would probably be self-conscious. I know other YouTubers can do it very well, but it just doesn't feel natural to me. So that's the reason that I don't really include a lot of interactions with other hikers. But I do appreciate that suggestion. And if I find opportunities where it's convenient to do that, then I'll try to do that. And in terms of like broadening up the videos in other ways, I feel like I have a tendency to focus mostly on times that we're taking breaks, and the reason for that is just that it's just out of convenience, really. I'm not trying to complain, but like the hike is hard enough as it is, just trying to get through the hike. And my primary motivation in doing the hike is to get through the hike successfully. The capturing everything on camera is a secondary goal. And it's not, yeah, I mean, I need to number one, be conscious of how long I'm taking footage, because I don't want the videos to be too long. Riley's enjoying his break here. And I mean, other than like showing what I see while I hike, or showing views that we get to, like when we get to the top of a mountain, I feel like I try to do that already, in addition to taking footage while we take breaks. So I'm not really sure what else the comment was focusing on. I should probably, I mean, the next time I get to a town, which will be Waynesboro, and get internet access, I will try to look at the comment specifically, so that I understand everything that the person was saying. So I guess that's all I can address for now based on what I know. So again, thank you to whomever left a comment. I do appreciate your feedback. And I can't necessarily implement everything that anyone might suggest. But I still appreciate the feedback, and if it's something that is workable for me, then I'm fine with trying to make improvements where possible. So Riley's got his nourishment. That's the second kind of snack that I gave him for today, and hopefully he'll be able to continue on. I'm just thinking if there's anything else on my mind right now. One thing that's on my mind is the injury that I had talked about probably a little over a week ago, where we were hiking past, I think we were hiking out of Parisburg, or it was after Parisburg but before Daleville, and we were hiking past Sarver Hollow Shelter, or we had just gotten past Sarver Hollow Shelter, and I had planned actually to camp at the path that leads into Sarver Hollow Shelter, because that shelter is 4/10 of a mile off the trail. But when I got there, I found that the space that I was thinking of was overgrown and it wasn't possible to camp. So Riley and I continued forward, and I think there was a campsite that was like about 8/10 of a mile further down the trail. And there was like a deer that surprised us, and Riley started going much faster, and I fell down, and Riley dragged me for a bit, and my elbow dragged against a rock, and I sustained a medium level injury, and I got like several scrapes on my elbow. Just wanted to give an update on that. It's healing very well. So I showed it like the next day, I think, just to show what the injury was. And this is what it looks like now. I'm very pleased with how it's healing. So let me get the camera here. So I had a scab here that formed. First of all, I was pleased that all the injuries, like a scab formed very quickly to protect the wound, and right here there was a scab, and it just I haven't been peeling any of them off, but they're starting to fall off naturally. So this one has fallen off, and then these two are probably going to fall off pretty soon. There's one here also that the scab has fallen off just naturally. So the skin is undergoing its healing process, and there's still a little scar there, but I think it's going to heal up like totally fine. So I apologize for if this is too much information for some viewers, but this is part of the hike. Unfortunately, injuries happen, and just hopefully when they do happen, hopefully they're not permanent or too serious. And when they do happen, the healing process is a very enjoyable process. So I've been like, just as I've been observing how it's healing, day to day ever since it happened, that's part of what contributes to my good mood, just knowing that it's healing and things are moving in the right direction. So that's a good thing. That was on my mind. And it's just a beautiful day today. There's blue skies ahead, a nice breeze. Very nice day. So I think we're gonna try to get going again, and we'll check in later. All right, bye for now. So we just got to this view spot as we're coming down the Priest Mountain. I was hoping to show the view, but I'm just showing whatever Riley is sniffing. He's very interested in something. Better for him to be sniffing and interested in something than out of breath and exhausted, I think. And very hot. Riley, let's go. Take a look at the view here, Riley. Yeah, so I'm not all that into views generally, as I've mentioned before. But this is kind of cool because, like over there to the left, you can see lots of mountains, like lots of multiple peaks. But then over there's no mountains. And then way off in the distance there, it's probably not possible to see on camera, but I do see a few peaks way off in the distance, but very few mountains to the right there. But then in the foreground, much closer to us, lots of open land, lots of grassy areas. There's a few lakes down there, probably some of it's farmland. And all throughout there, it's mostly like forest, like trees, large groups of trees, but all throughout there's pockets of open land where there might be houses or human-built structures of some kind. So that's kind of cool. Like a lot of the views that we see are just mountains, and that's all you see. But there's some nice variation here. So, all right, buddy. We'll check in later. All right, Riley and Van Gogh checking in quickly. We're making progress. We have descended the Priest Mountain, and we crossed over the road that we just crossed over. We crossed over the road that we just crossed over, and it's Virginia Route 56, I think. And now we are entering a new wilderness area. I like to take pictures of the signs, so this is called Three Ridges Wilderness. So the previous wilderness area was called the Priest Wilderness, and it was appropriately named because we hiked over the Priest Mountain. And now we're entering Three Ridges Wilderness, and we're going to be ascending Three Ridges Mountain. And we are 2.5 miles away from the next shelter, which is called Harper's Creek Shelter. When we get there, we'll have done 13.1 miles on the day. So my plan is to see what the daylight looks like when we get there, and see if I want to push on further or spend the night at the shelter. We have some elevation gain to do before we get to the shelter, but then the bulk of the elevation gain ascending Three Ridges Mountain comes after Harper's Creek Shelter. And then the next shelter after Harper's Creek Shelter is after the mountain, and it's called Maupin Field Shelter. And that's about, I think, like 6.6 miles between Harper's Creek and Maupin Field. And there's a trail coming up in about 1.7 miles called the Mahar Trail. Can anyone guess why it's called the Mahar Trail? I know. It's called the Mahar Trail because it leads to Maupin Field Shelter. It doesn't connect Harper's Creek Shelter directly with Maupin Field Shelter, but it starts 0.8 of a mile south of Harper's Creek Shelter, and then it ends directly at Maupin Field Shelter. So it basically connects. It's a way to connect the two shelters as a separate connection point besides just the Appalachian Trail. And so they just took the first 3 letters of Maupin Field and the first 3 letters of Harper's Creek, and they got Mahar Trail. I feel smart because I know that. I'm just joking. I don't feel smart because I know that, but when I first saw the Mahar Trail, when I first saw it, oh, Riley, when I first saw it spelled, I wasn't sure what it was, but then it's kind of obvious, or at least it makes sense once you realize that it's just a trail that connects the two shelters. So we'll check in later. Bye for now. Hope everyone's doing well. All right, this is the aforementioned Mahar Trail. Going that direction leads to Maupin Field Shelter. Only 3 miles. Only 3 miles. Whereas if we take the AT, we got 8/10 of a mile to get to Harper's Creek Shelter. Riley, what are you doing? Anyway, 8/10 of a mile to Harper's Creek Shelter, and then like another 6-point-something miles to get to Maupin Field Shelter. So definitely a shortcut to take the Mahar Trail. What does it say? Mahar Trail, conceived and designed by Angelo M. Filippi, December 1, 1948 to May 30, 1996, and created by the Tidewater Appalachian Trail Club with the cooperation of the United States Forest Service. Very good. All right, so that's the sun over there. The daylight is dwindling. We have 0.8 miles. Riley. Ugh. I'm sorry, Riley. Anyway. So we have 0.8 miles to get to Harper's Creek Shelter. And I'm thinking I'd like to push on and just find a campsite with whatever remaining daylight we have. So we'll see how it goes. Riley's ready to stop, but we'll be stopping soon. We're just gonna try to use the remaining daylight that we have. And then I'm gonna give Riley a very nice dinner tonight, and we will get a good night's sleep. All right, so we'll check in later. Come on, buddy, it's okay, Riley. It's okay. Riley, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. Riley. Hey. It's okay. Here. It's okay. So we'll check in later. All right. Just want to close out the day here. Riley and I are safe and sound in our tent. We did hike on past Harper's Creek Shelter and started up the ascent of Three Ridges Mountain, and it was not an easy hike. The terrain was difficult, and we were losing the light. So I basically decided to take the first campsite that I found, and we ended up hiking 1.4 miles after the shelter to find a campsite. And it wasn't easy to find the campsite. There was just a side trail, unmarked side trail, off the main AT that led to a campsite. So thankfully we found it. We are 1.9 miles shy of the summit of Three Ridges Mountain. I feel like we got to like the first false summit, because it sort of feels like we're at the top of something, but we still have a long way to go to get up to the top. The campsite that we found, we're very fortunate to find this one. It's a tiny campsite, just enough space to fit my 2-person tent, and fortunately the ground was soft enough to fit my tent stakes in. So I just really like the adventure of pushing our luck and hiking into the night, even though it's not the smartest idea. That's what they have shelters for. I could have easily gone to the shelter or set up our tent at the shelter. But I thought we would have enough light to get to a campsite, and fortunately we did. And fortunately I was able to set up our tent. So we're gonna be happy and enjoy the night, and we are 25.6 miles south of Waynesboro now, so we are on track to get there on Wednesday. So that's good. So we will check in tomorrow. I have only 4% left on my battery, so I'm gonna run out of battery at some point, but we'll see when that happens. All right, bye for now. Hope everyone's doing well, and we'll check in later.